Hello everyone, and welcome to Season 7, Episode 3 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in CHIKARA history with match number 48 on our list, which is for the CHIKARA Campeonatos de Parejas. It is a 2 out of 3 falls match, as almost all of those title matches are, and it is between the champions, the BDK of Claudio Castagnoli and RS, against the challengers of Incoherence of Hallowicked and Frightmare from the CHIKARA Aniversario Elf event held on May the 23rd of 2010. Real quick, just want to give this match a shout out. It was held at the Ace Arena in Union City, New Jersey. Most of the people that actually went to that venue hated it. It was very small, very hot, allegedly. But it was one of my favorite kind of like short-term Northeast indie venues to watch on tape. I loved how closed in all of the walls were. I loved like the super intimate atmosphere of it. I loved the Ace Arena. Evolve ran there, CHIKARA ran there, some of the Northeast indies in that area ran there, and it was a venue that will always be near and dear to my heart as an independent wrestling fan. But with that out of the way, this match is phenomenal, and it's so funny to me because as I go through, you know, the quote unquote kind of like play-by-play that I do in these videos where I go through, you know, the kind of general story of the match and some of the spots, if you weren't watching at this time, it's going to sound like the biggest train wreck of a match ever and something that nobody in their right mind would want to watch. But it really works so well. If you are unfamiliar, and I hate saying this, with the CHIKARA lore, the BDK was a basically heel supergroup started by Claudio Castagnoli, bringing in his old Swiss money holding partner from Germany, RS. They had a bunch of, you know, what we thought were Technicos on the roster, basically infiltrating the CHIKARA roster, and they tried to overthrow CHIKARA from the inside out. It was a really great storyline. It was shocking. It was very much akin to, you know, the original NWO storyline. But what CHIKARA did so well, where ultimately WCW really failed with the NWO, was they gave CHIKARA wins throughout, so that there was never a point where all hope seemed lost. So this is a match that, you know, it's very, you know, cheap, and, you know, it feels like it would be frustrating, but the fans, I think, at this point too, were so generous to CHIKARA, you know, knowing in good faith that ultimately they were going to get a good payoff to this angle. So they played along and were hot throughout, and, you know, almost the right kind of PO'd, you know, at the terrible finish to this match. But it was all for the greater good of the story. And at the time, you know, it was really engaging, was really involved in it. You know, everybody was talking about it. So I wasn't sure how a lot of these BDK tag team title defenses would have held up in the rewatch, but they all still really, really work, you know, even in the little vacuum that they are, just because the crowd is so there with it. And if you watch all of the Claudio and RS tag title matches, you know, you get this theme throughout them where little by little the cracks start to form, you know, in their game plan, and eventually it leads to them dropping the titles at the perfectly right time. So CHIKARA, they did a great job with at least the first year of this BDK storyline. In my opinion, the faction kind of stayed around a little bit too long after that, you know, much like the NWO, and it did lose a little bit of its luster, but this was really the peak for them. And out of all of their, you know, tag title defenses, you know, outside of maybe the one where they lose the titles, but I don't want to give too many spoilers away, I feel like this is their best tag team title defense. Hallowicked and Frightmare were great opponents. The chemistry that Claudio and Frightmare show in this match is amazing, and that should be expected. Claudio is one of the best bases of all time, especially in American wrestling history, in my opinion. And Frightmare is a great, very small high flyer. So you put them two together and you do get magic. And it's a darn shame that they never really got a singles match opportunity, because it would have been really cool. This match, though, it starts out as a lot of these BDK title defenses would ultimately go, where, you know, the challengers get jumped in the aisle by Delirious, who was possessed by the Eye of Tyr, and he was basically like the ravenous pet of the BDK. They'd hold on to him on a chain, and Delirious used to be tag team champions with Hallowicked as Incoherence. So there's all of this story involved in this, and the commentary, to their credit, they do a fantastic job. Bryce Remsburg is on the call for this match. I'll talk a little bit more about his commentary job later, but Delirious attacks in the aisle and hits the panic attack knee to Frightmare into the guardrail, rolls him in the ring. Referee Derek Sabato, who at the time was basically the BDK's Nick Patrick, he was the crooked official in their pocket, immediately rings the bell despite, a competitor being in no condition to start the match, and counts an immediate pinfall. And just right off the get-go, it takes a lot of that wind out of the sails of the crowd, where, their beloved baby faces are down 1-0 right away. So it creates this great uphill battle that the Technicos have to struggle. And like I said, the crowd is there. That Ace Arena crowd is so great and so hot, and they're there for every step of the way. And I talked about Bryce on commentary. So he is so great here as the head CHIKARA official that, was not allowed to referee these BDK title matches as directed by Dieter von Stiegelwart, I believe was the pronunciation of his last name, who was like the BDK's heel authority figure who took over as director of fun. So he, made this decree that Derek Sabato is now the head official. And Bryce is so good on commentary, just criticizing everything that Sabato does from a referee's perspective. And he has this great line about Sabato being a disgrace to the logo that he wears on his chest. And it's like really good, impassioned stuff, and it feels legitimate. And this again is a part of this big overarching story, and even just that commentary and their little referee feud would eventually get paid off in a really spectacular way. So they do an excellent job with it. This match is mostly heat on Frightmare, and he's so good playing the face in peril, just getting beat down, and eventually makes the hot tag. And again, Sabato is so great, and it's so frustrating, but purposely frustrating, where the hot tag happens and he claims he didn't see it, and shoos Hallowicked back out to extend the heat on Frightmare. And it's all really good stuff. And like I said, if this was something that I hate to say it, the WWE would do now, I'd be like, oh, this is lame, this is played out. But it really worked, in this independent setting, because with the CHIKARA fan base, the CHIKARA-me, as they would refer to themselves, or be referred to as, they were such a passionate core group of fans. And like I said, in a way, they really would play along with whatever they were being given. And it would create this massively fun viewing experience where, if you watch this on weekly episodic WWE television, it would become tiresome. And I hate to say it, but, as a long-term wrestling fan, I would expect that it would not have a payoff that would be fulfilling, because I've seen that so many times with mainstream wrestling. But, CHIKARA, like I said, they do a really good job with these storylines and having these, ups and downs and peaks and valleys and these, little payoffs at the right moment. So, having that good faith and knowing ultimately how it ended up and watching it back now, it's like when you watch a great movie with a twist ending that you don't see coming, and then you eventually go back and watch that movie again, and there's all of these little clues and hints that you pick up on that you wouldn't have otherwise. And that's really how it feels with a lot of this BDK storyline stuff. We're watching it back now, knowing ultimately how it plays out, you kind of pick up these little things, and it's really great and it's really clever. We of course eventually get the proper hot tag, and Hallowicked and Frightmare go on this great offensive run. How they get it is so good. Like I said, Frightmare is a great babyface here, and he hits like a step-up Rana off of Ares' back, like to Claudio, that sends him into Ares, and it's just really great how he pulls the whole thing off to come back from this 2-on-1 disadvantage, let alone the massive size disadvantage that he faces. Some of his offense here is incredible. He hits like a deja vu satellite head scissors to Claudio, but while Claudio was on his knees, and just the strength of this man to be able to base for that is just absolutely phenomenal. It's a really great spot that's a highlight. They do a really, really big time spot here where Claudio, kind of tosses Frightmare up into the rafters. And I think the original plan was going to be like on Swiss Death, right? That pop-up European uppercut. They couldn't really hit that perfectly, so he kind of like grabs Frightmare by the foot and tosses him up. But Frightmare grabs onto the rafters and like hangs off them for a second and then drops down into a snap Rana. It is incredible. It is like one of the, hottest near falls you're going to see. It's wicked. Hallowicked and Frightmare, they get all of these close calls off slow Sabato counts. There's this CHIKARA trope that they would do a lot where they would send out the roster to like come around the ring and like pound on the mat. Just one, it creates a cool visual, but two, it helps bring the crowd up. Not that this crowd needed it, but with all of these BDK tag team title matches, it really makes sense that they would do this, and it would have that camaraderie between, all of the CHIKARA roster. It doesn't matter if you're face or heel, you want the titles off of these dastardly BDK invaders. They'd come out and pound the mat and get the crowd up. And again, this is something that ultimately would end up getting paid off. So a really, really great visual to it. Makes it super, super hot. We get an awesome finish here where they try, as best as they can to isolate Ares, and Hallowicked hits like a big tope on Claudio, but ultimately Frightmare misses knee collapse, which is like his moonsault double knee finish. Gets killed with a lariat, and then the Tiger Driver, which I believe was called the Toblerone Driver, if I remember correctly, for the 3 count. And again, you just feel the wind leave the building at that point. All hope is lost. The BDK retain once again. And like I said, all of these title defenses are really good. It was a little challenging to pick one ultimately to include on here. I knew that I wanted one when, going through the rankings, I kind of ended up figuring out that it would be, slightly lower on the top 50, but definitely a worthy inclusion. And, I stacked them all up against each other. There was a really good one against The Future Is Now, and a really memorable one against 3.0, where 3.0 would be the first team to score a fall against the BDK. There was so much good stuff, but ultimately I feel like this was their strongest tag team title defense. Just the venue and the crowd and the near falls and Frightmare's performance and the Rana off the rafters, it really set it above all of the rest. This is a tremendously fun tag team match that works just as a one-time watch, and just a great example about how a match can ultimately disappoint you with the finish, but it can do so where you're still able to sit back and go, that was a killer match though. And that's exactly what this one does. If you are new to CHIKARA, I definitely recommend watching, that entire first year of the BDK storyline. It is phenomenal, phenomenal stuff. And definitely, make sure you watch all of those tag team title defenses, this one especially. Like all CHIKARA, you can catch this match on independentwrestling.tv. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again next time as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.